Hi there, this is Two Legs Better. Welcome to my channel. And today, the first 2025, the first college football playoff ranking is released. And there was a lot of speculation before this because the AP poll has ranked Ohio State number one for all but 1 week this season. But a lot of people are speculating that the committee might value the schedule and performance more, so they would put Indiana at number one and maybe even Texas A&M because it plays in the toughest conference of SEC. So actually, that was my hope because I personally don't really care about this ranking. I know I'm not a coach, I'm not a player, but I'm a fan. But I personally don't care about that much because from the motivation perspective, it would be better if Ohio State is ranked number three. You think about it, Indiana has a great case because people think of the world of Oregon. And by the way, this is the bracket. So people think of the world of Oregon, and they beat them in their home, in Autzen Stadium. So there is a good case to say if you think Oregon is a top team and a team that's very capable of winning the championship, then that performance is the best win. Is really, really the best win. If that's the case, then Indiana has a great case of being ranked number one because they didn't really, they had only one close game against Iowa. Other than that, everything was peachy. It's more than peachy. It was great. It was brilliant. So now the Buckeyes, they did dominant for every game. If you look at the score, the only thing that was close was Texas. And now Texas is actually also pretty close. It's ranked in top. Where is it? It's just outside of this. I think it's top 14 for sure, top 16 for sure. So now, in that case, if Oregon is number 9 and Texas is number 13 or something, 12, 13 or 14, then they are pretty close. So, and the Buckeyes at home beat a Texas team there. So even you look at it that way, Indiana still has a good case. You can still put Indiana in number one. I actually think that's what they should do, really, because I have been watching the game for over 20 years, and I have always been a critic of the eye test. Some people say game control eye test. But I think that's kind of too subjective. Now, there's another possibility was the Buckeyes could be ranked number 3 because Texas A&M is undefeated in SEC. So their schedule is apparently much tougher. So they could make a case for that to be ranked in front of the Buckeyes as well. And I really don't care. I think those are just moot point. And it's actually more beneficial for the Buckeyes if they were ranked number 3 because there is more motivation to do a good job for the rest of the games because now they need motivation because it's hard to be at the top when everybody is singing your praise and saying you are the best or whatever, second coming of of whatever. So you get my point. So from a motivation perspective, I think it's to the Buckeyes' advantage if they were not ranked number 1. And however, it turned out they were ranked number 1. So clearly the committee, I think they have watched the Buckeyes games. If they did, they would understand the Buckeyes do look like the number 1 team, at least number 2. I think Indiana still has a good case, but the Buckeyes did have they control all the games, even the close game against the Texas. They control the game from beginning to end. I want to comment on the Buckeyes game control a little bit more, but before I get there, I want to point out that I like this year's structure a little bit more than last year. They made a slight change. That is, they the first round bye was awarded to the top 4 teams, regardless of conference affiliations. I think that is fair. It's much better than just because if it's last year's rules, then Memphis would get a first round bye automatically. I think this format works better. So now get back to the Buckeyes. How did the Buckeyes get to this point? And I think the important thing about the Buckeyes, it's almost like a perfect storm for this year, because after last year they won the national championship and everybody was saying, the next year the Buckeyes will be good, but there will be a lot of question marks. And there are several question marks. For number 1 is the quarterback, and I'll get to the quarterback. And number 2 is the defensive line. And everything else seems to be okay because, we still have Jeremiah Smith and Caleb Downs as 2 best players in the whole country. So it seems they have a good foundation. Now, this year is a perfect storm. In what sense? It starts from the coaches, I'll say, because especially defensive coordinator, I think Matt Patricia is a miracle worker. Okay, the defense this year is truly the best I've ever seen, at least in scarlet uniform. You think about the way they control the game. You think about how they handle Penn State. Penn State has been down this year, really. They lost 5 games in a row. However, they still have good athletes, and they had a good plan come to the shoe to play with the Buckeyes. They even scored twice. Of course, the second one is a short field because of the turnover, but it's still, not many people can do that, to score on the Buckeyes defense. And what they did was they made the adjustment at mid in the second half and totally shut down the Indian Lions. That's just remarkable. I never seen the Buckeyes defense adjust that well, and it works. It works perfectly. They scored 0 point in the second half. Okay, so this is something we almost never see. Last year's defense, of course, they won the national championship, but with the Jim knows, if it were 1-score game, it was a little bit in the final, the national championship game, but if it were 1-score game, you rely on the defense, I'm going to be holding my breath, because I just don't really trust that Jim knows has the ability to do that. But this defense can and did. So you could argue about the schedule all you want. It's to me, I watched every game multiple times. This year they played. I can see clearly what Ryan Day and Patricia and Hardline, what they were trying to do. What was their plan? Did it work? Did it not work? And what are they doing? I think this year it's a award times now. So that's my next topic is awards season is upon us, right? So the Buckeyes, they have a few potential awards. So I want to start with something is here, the defense. The defense has been playing great. And this is, you can see that Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles, and Caden Curry named semifinalists for the Lombardi Award. And then Reese and Styles both up for the Butkus Award. This is a great honor. I even if none of them win, it's still a great honor. That means they are recognized as some of the top defenders in the country. And I would expect more. I think Caleb Downs might still get recognized, although his numbers are not necessarily the best in the country, but So at least this is just some of the part. And the offensive awards, I don't know yet. And then there's the Heisman, right? That's to be awarded to the most outstanding player in the whole country. And I don't know what outstanding means. Is it best performance? Is it the best player? And some people literally just argue that, oh, that's the most outstanding player. What does it mean? Does it mean they are the tallest, the strongest, the one that jumps the highest, the fastest? If you do that, just probably give it to JJ already, right? However, this is Julian Sain. Julian Sain is just insane this season. Okay, he's like in the first game against the Texas, because the defense controlled the game so well. So the offense didn't really do much, didn't ask Sain to do much. Even in that case, you think about it, he had at least 4 drop passes in that game. I think he passed 21 times and completed 14 of them. If you added those 4, that's 18. That would be 3 incompletions in that game, and that's just insane. It's just insane. It's just and it was unlucky. It's the first game against the preseason #1 team in the country, so it was conservative. It was all understandable. However, I was super pleased after that game because I thought, I think he can handle that. And Ryan Day said as such as well. So now here, 8 games in, this is what he has. 80%, 80.7% completion percentage, and 5 300-plus yards passing games. 3-time freshman, I think it's 4 times now. And then there's the passer rating, and that's #1 in college football. So his numbers are just insane. It's just insane. And you look at that, all these numbers, completions, and so, and a lot of endorsement there. Now, he was a 5-star, but he was like he was totally overshadowed by Arch Manning. Arch Manning was kind of a preseason already granted the Heisman, something like that. And very few people were talking about Julian Sain because he didn't really show much on the field last year. But this is what he has been achieving, he has accomplished. So now the thing is, can the team maintain the momentum, and he can maintain his excellence throughout the rest of the season? And before we get to the rest of the season, I want to show you the other Heisman candidate, and this is J.J. Smith. Jeremiah Smith is a lot of people say he's an alien. I mean, he is. However, he's not. He's the second best receiver on the Buckeye team right now, and Carnell Tate totally outperformed JJ. I know if you put them side by side, and the things they can do and things like that, you probably still take JJ. If you have to take a player, that's JJ, right? But if you look at on-field performance, the contested catches and all those great performances, Tate just doesn't miss. He catches everything, literally everything. And JJ was tripping a little bit at the beginning of the season. He dropped multiple balls, and he lost. I think he was 4 out of 11 in contested catches. That's really. That's at least that's not that good. And for Tate, I think he only missed 1 contested catches. So you could argue there are so many different reasons for that to happen. However, if you just look at the performance, like the number, I mean, you could make a great argument that Tate is the better receiver this year, at least this year. Of course, you can't underestimate or undersell JJ either. He's starting from last year, the 19 games. That's and the fastest Ohio State receiver to reach 1,500 yards. Actually, he eclipsed 2,000 yards already, and he's the 12th Buckeye player to do that. And he is sitting at 2,040 yards. Do you know how many more yards does he need to break the record? The record is currently held by Emeka Igboka. That is 2,868 yards. So literally, he only needs 828 yards to break it. And the regular season, there's 3 more games left. There's a Purdue, 3 or 4, 4. There's a Purdue, there's UCLA, and 3. Yeah, and there's the team up north. So that's the regular season, and then if everything goes according to plan, they would play in Indianapolis for the conference championship game, and then they have the first round bye, and then they see how many more games they will play. But if you just assume he gets like on average 100 yards per game, he could get close to that record this season alone, and he has 1 more season left. So I have no doubt he's going to break all the record Ohio State has. So now, so those are the awards. So what about the prospect? Season prospect. Well, at this point, the rest of the season is very close, and so now the important thing is the Buckeyes has been perfect so far. Now the important thing is what's going to happen next. Can they maintain this in intensity and to win the rest of the games? Now the next game is at Lafayette against Purdue, and then followed by UCLA coming to the shoe, and then Rutgers come to the shoe. So for the Purdue game, it has always been a tricky game because that's the spoiler maker, right? It's not boiler maker, it's spoiler maker because they beat top ranked teams all the time. Well, maybe not all the time, but they did it more than any other schools. I don't know what is it. I mean, is it because of the small college town there? I visited the school, the campus. It's in the middle of nowhere and small and things like that. I don't know what exactly that it was, but they did some great things. They beat some great Buckeye teams in the past. So I'm sure the Ryan Day and others will use this as a motivation for them. The team's record is atrocious this season. It's 2-7. They lost 7 games. But, I don't expect the Buckeyes to have too much difficulty. But this is still November. The weather is unpredictable. Well, it will be cold and a little bit unpredictable, I suppose. So we'll see. We'll see how other things happen. And then follow that by UCLA and Rutgers coming to town. UCLA has a great story, but it kind of fades away a little bit. And Rutgers also has a great story because of Greg Schiano and things like that. But I think the Buckeyes will be able to maintain their intensity there because I like how Ryan Day is handling things these days. He used the story between David and Goliath. So what he meant is that maybe you are Goliath. People see you as unbeatable. However, everybody has a stone somewhere. He wouldn't wake up that morning and think about it. I'm gonna be aware. I'm gonna be concerned about the stone. The stone may kill me. The little stone may kill me, or defeat me. But that is what happened on that day. So if you want to maintain your edge, you have to be aware of the stone that might kill you, that's out of your conscious. So I like that analogy, because you think about it, the players are like an 18 to 22-year-old young man. And these guys, they are riding high. But I personally am not worried because the coaches has been doing a great job. Ryan Day, I hope he's up for the Coach of the Year award. I mean, he did great. Um, yeah, but I'm biased, I guess. So what can I say? Anywho, so the other reason I wasn't worried is because of the leadership on the team. You look at Caleb Downs. Caleb Downs adopted the kind of boring Nick Saban I take in interviews already. He's like, how you prepare? Well, you just follow your routine, do your thing. And how do you perform better? Well, you just do your job and dominate the person in front of you. And he keeps saying that. It's boring. It's really boring. You listen to him, you don't get any more insights than that. However, those are the fundamentals. If you focus on the fundamentals, you won't get distracted. You won't be thinking about, I mean, think about JJ, think about Jeremiah Smith. If he was thinking about one-handed catches all the time, would he be able to do that one-hand catch? It happens when it happens. It's hard to plan for those things. But when you're focused on those things, you can get carried away. So this team just has too many great leadership. I mean, you think about Arvel Reese, he might be the best defensive player on the team right now in terms of performance, but he's a very quiet guy. He's a lead by example kind of guy. And then you have Sonny Styles. Sonny Styles has been the leader of the defense for several years already, and everybody can look up to him and respect him. And then you have the defensive line, and then you have Caleb Downs there, of course. And then on the offense, Julian Sain is taking command. It's insane. It's truly insane. You think about it, he threw 3 interceptions and 4 touchdowns in the last game against Penn State. And that's just insane. You throw 20 sometimes and you only miss 3 times. You try throw a paper into the trash bin. See how many you miss. Think about it. It's just not that easy. And he made it look easy though. So, and he has great command of the offense. And then the offensive line is doing great. And the skill positions, of course, the wide receivers, and the great attitude and everything. The only thing that may be a little bit concerned is the running back. Some people really, really didn't like the rotation of the 4 running backs in the game. I personally like it. I think you could argue the best 2 backs are Bo Jackson and Isaiah West. However, James Peoples and CJ, they still have things to offer. CJ, although he had a fumble in the last game against the Penn State, but he redeemed himself by getting into the end zone. That's the sole rushing TD in a game. But he only had a few touches. It's not like he was relied upon, even though he wasn't that effective. And Bo Jackson had another 100-yard game. So I think those are good things. I would assume down the road, say in the game against the team up north, things are going to change. They are going to rely on certain people, the starters. But before that, I think the defense allows the offense the luxury to rotate the guys in. And Julian Sain is just a cheat code, you could have a 3rd and long and you just throw it downfield, and of course you have JJ, you have Carnell Tate and Brandon Innes and others there. So talk about concerns. Of course, special teams, it's either less used because there was only 1 punt in last game, or they were like unreliable. The kicking game is still. Let's just hope they wouldn't get that far, even in the postseason. But who knows? Anywho, so I think currently the thing that they should be worrying about is the next game against Purdue. I personally, as a big fan, as I call myself the most knowledgeable Buckeye fan in the South hemisphere, whatever. It's whatever. Anyway, so I think the Buckeyes are looking great, and it should be a good game. It should be a dominating game in Lafayette this weekend against the Purdue, and I personally just enjoying the game now.